We showed previously that if you visited on the top menu of gCADPlus, the library, went to plants and then went to standard, that highlighted this option here, and we produced a drawing similar to that shown on the right hand side. It was relatively easy to drag symbols. Some were of existing species and some were new, and you could just drag them in and insert them. And we discussed some of the ways in which these work. Each symbol that's dragged in from this standard group, the majority apart from those for existing trees, this one here is an existing tree symbol, all of these others come in at a scale of 1, and in the US that's a scale of 3 feet canopy diameter, and here 1,000 units. We also showed it's very easy to resize these by right-clicking and scaling, pointing to the central point and then just dragging out. We could change the stacking order of symbols. We could pick any symbol and rotate them around, so it's a very, very flexible way of creating landscape designs. The key issue we demonstrated is if we went into the layer group and into the layer states manager, we could have a layer state guide for installers, and we could restore that and OK it. And what then happens, each of these standard symbols is now represented just by a circle and a point marker in the center. And if we select this one, you can see that it, being the symbol, is associated with the broadleaf yucca, and this one here a calliston. So the symbols can be easily associated with a plant database file, which most people create for themselves. So that's a little long-winded summary of where we got to, but you will notice here, as we zoom in, there are some folders containing other symbols that, if you like, spill from this earlier standard set. And let me just zoom out a little. So if we go to the standard set, we've got these 4 folders, and the top folder, elevation, just takes to a subset, if you like, the elevation subset, a whole series of trees which you might use in an elevation design. Sorry, that was the wrong one. Let's go here and back to our layer states manager, and we'll just turn on the base layer and restore that to get back to where we were, and the symbols come. So elevation symbols, fairly straightforward, I think. The so-called E series is a subset of symbols that differ in openness and size. So if I select this one here, I'll explode that group, and that enables us to pick individual symbols. It's coming in at a scale of 1, but it's quite large. If we use the measure tool here, that's 2.6 meters or so canopy diameter, whereas the others are much smaller. So if you wanted, in a sense, not to have to worry about sizing, you could just drag these symbols in and place them, and they'll make a pattern that's more aesthetically pleasing, I think. So they differ in openness and size. The minimal, so-called minimal subset of symbols, and again I'll do the same thing here, I'll just explode that so we can grab individual ones. If I took this one and edited it and dragged a crossing window across here, you can see that the whole symbol is just made of 2 polylines, and by the way they are all on layer 0. So if we change to this construction team, we won't get those planting circles that we had before in that group. So it's a really, really simple, lightweight set of symbols. You can still, of course, size them and rotate them in the way we did before. The last subset that you see from going to the standard group is a so-called modern subset. You can see here it's meant to be a sort of funky look, a whole group of unusual spiky symbols and unusual ones with blobs of colour. I will just go here to our Layer States Manager and restore the guide for installers, and you'll see that there are all the markers showing. In this group they don't, in this group they do, and of course in the elevation there's no point in having a marker. So from that standard group of symbols in gCADPlus, you can access a whole lot of other symbols